Thank you, Mayor Ford. Thank you, everyone, for staying so late. I'm as tired as you are, so I'm not sure if I'll be coherent, but I'll try my best. We've heard a lot of different emotions expressed this evening. We've heard frustration. We've heard disappointment. We've heard anger. I think for me, I'm mostly just feeling confused. I'm confused for a few reasons. I'm confused because we've been hearing a lot about respecting the taxpayer. Yet this meeting format was set up to intentionally exclude anyone who wasn't prepared to leave their family at 4 in the morning. So I'm not sure how that's respectful. I'm also confused because we've been told repeatedly in the media that we're the usual suspects who don't have jobs and were paid by unions and arrived on a union bus, which is so insulting and disrespectful to the hundreds of people here who I've spoken to today who fall into none of those categories and have taken time out of work to be here. I'm confused because there seems to be two gravy trains. There was a gravy train we heard about during the election, which I actually could buy into, that there's a lot of waste, there's inefficiencies, we water the plants too much, we get a free zoo pass, a free TTC pass, councillors have rabbit costumes. Yeah, I mean, if that was worth $700 million, I would have voted for you too. But now there's another gravy train, which people didn't vote for, which is more of a Tea Party libertarian ideology that cities, as we've heard in the media, should provide roads and cops, and everything else is extra. No one voted for that because that isn't what you said at the debates, Mayor. So there's two gravy trains, and people voted for the first one. I'm also confused because we've also heard about this immense, powerful Ford Nation which can be mobilized, and I don't see a single one of them here behind me today. If they can't take the time, as we have, to be here, why should their viewpoint be respected? I'm also confused because we've heard that the city should be run like a business, but I don't know many businesses that would eliminate a good source of revenue in a year when you're battling a deficit, which was the vehicle registration fee. And how many businesses would call a meeting for 4 a.m.? Would Deco Labels invite people to come to a 4 a.m. meeting? No, you would not, of course, because you're a good businessman, and that would be disrespectful. And this format is disrespectful this evening. Violet Cardella was not respected. Dunstan Morey was not respected. Randy Panaghetto, Ernest Tucker, John C. Lowe, Peter Ouellette, 87 people since 11 o'clock when people went home to be with their families have been crossed off their list because of the way you set up this meeting. If you want to trample democracy, I think that's fine. But don't call it respecting the taxpayer, because that's false advertising, and that's no way to run a business.
Thank you. Any questions? Councillor Layton? Yeah.
Dave, sit down. Just so that in the future we don't make this mistake again, could you provide us with some suggestions in particular about how this meeting was run that could have been more respectful of taxpayers?
Sure. Through you, Chair. And I think it's a hard balance.
Let it go.
And in fact, I have actually argued that evening meetings are better than daytime meetings because a lot of people have jobs. So there's no perfect time to have a meeting. I would say that having the all-night meeting was okay, but not the part where if you missed your slot, you couldn't come back. So if you'd rather do this in 2 days and going all night, as you've done, which I think you should be congratulated for, it shows a lot of commitment, that's fine. But if someone wanted to go home to their family and come back in the morning, why wouldn't they be able to depute? That doesn't make any sense. So I think that was the problem. And that was an intentional amendment to exclude voices, which is disrespectful.
Councillor Bond.
Pages 34, 35, and 36 of the report, they talk about governance of the city and how to make government work in open and transparent government. But one of the things the clerks recommend quite consistently throughout all of their reports is to lessen consultation as a way of creating efficiency. I was wondering if you'd care to comment.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The most efficient form of government is one that has no consultation, and probably one that has no seats at all. A dictatorship with one person who makes all the choices is extremely efficient in terms of economics. Like what?
Like the one we just had.
Perhaps. I don't.
My time be
I mean, you know what?
Election is.
Let me say, as an advocate
Can
of,
my time
hold
be
on.
pulled? Sorry, can my
Sorry,
time
that was
be
a question
held?
from Councillor Holliday.
The
We're
Red
done.
Bull Rush?
Thank you.
No, hold on. I'd like to respond to that.
60 seconds. You've done it. Forget it, okay? That's it. It's over.
He asked me a question. As an advocate of consultation,
Next
I
question.
think the former administration
Next-
wasn't
next
perfect, and I was
question.
hoping you'd be better,
Next
and you're
question.
worse,
Next
and that's
question.
shameful.
Next question. Next question. Any other questions? You want a question? Councillor Davis? Councillor Davis has another question.
Thank you, Mr. Meslin. You know that there is also in every one of these reports a summary of the consultations that were held in meetings all around the city and also in an online questionnaire. Do you think that the results of that consultation ought to have been considered by KPMG and ought to be considered by the city before they make any decisions?
Absolutely. There were probably a lot of flaws in the way the timeline is unfolding. I would say that is one. I asked that question when I came to the City Hall consultation here, and it seemed like the timeline was too short. So we're filling out these forms. We know how long it takes to write these reports, and I asked, is there really time for this feedback to be incorporated into the reports? And they said, probably not. But we've also heard that these folks were self-selected, so their voices aren't important.
Thank you.
Which I disagree
you.
with. That was
Next question.
Sarcasm doesn't work at 4 in the morning.
Next question. All right. Okay. No more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. $265 Lester Brown. $265 Lester Brown.